Live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 62 of the Ask the Coach show, where PingSkills answers your table tennis questions. Today, we're going to discuss breaking the 2000 ranking barrier, how to improve your backhand, time allowed between points, and what to do when your skill level seems to drop off, even though you've been practicing hard. As always, Super Coach Alois Rosario is here with me to answer your questions. Welcome, Alois.
And a good morning to you, and a good morning to all the PingSkillers out there. Hope it's going to be a good day for you.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be a good day for me, Alois. Tonight I'm off to the cricket match, the Big Bash, to watch the Melbourne Stars take on the Perth Scorchers, and go Melbourne Stars.
Yeah, so I think they've made the finals now, have they, Jeff?
Is that correct? I thought they still had to win, but I haven't been keeping right up to date with the ladder. That's good news if they've made the finals, because they lost their first couple of matches and it was looking dicey for a while.
Yeah, so good luck with that tonight. Should be a good night of cricket.
Yes, indeed. All right, Alice, well, let's take a look at yesterday's PingSkillers question of the day, which is, are video games helpful or damaging for your table tennis? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they have some benefits in as far as, just your reflexes and dexterity and skill. The only thing that I worry about is if you're spending too much time on them, is it detracting from the amount of time that you've got available to train on the table and properly, and also just getting out there in the real world. I always worry a little bit too much about too much with video games. So they probably do have some benefits, but just in moderation.
The real world? What's that, Alice? I thought that was looking at your iPhone.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Okay. Yes, well, that's a hot topic, isn't it? So yeah, I think generally, like you're saying, video games definitely not going to be damaging to your table tennis. But yeah, you still need time to go and practice your table tennis, so that should be, if you're looking to improve, the main focus for table tennis improvement. Very interesting topic. Anyway, let's move on to the PingSkillers question of the day, which is, where do you play your table tennis most? So leave a comment either on YouTube or on our blog. You can go to pingskills.com, click on the blog link, and you'll find this episode. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear whether most of our PingSkillers are playing in a club, or whether they're playing at work, in their office situation, or at school, or maybe just with friends at a social group. So yeah, interesting to hear.
Yeah, let us know. All right, Bevan has a question for us, Alois. Bevan says, I'm experiencing inconsistency around my forehand counter hit. I can go weeks counter hitting well, and then I start to lose technique, and it gets worse, mostly due to me getting frustrated and searching for the correct stroke. How should I deal with this?
Yeah, so Bevan, a couple of words there. First one is frustrated, and the second one is searching. So when you start to get frustrated, obviously things just take a downward spiral. So if you are getting frustrated with your stroke, you start to tighten up, you tense up, and then naturally your stroke gets worse, and then it almost becomes self-fulfilling. Then your stroke does get worse. So firstly, just in that situation, try to just take a little bit of time to think that you've got the stroke. You don't need to search for it. The stroke's there. Just allow yourself to play. It will adjust. You'll start to hit the ball on the table again. People often start to worry about their strokes and their games, and the only thing that can do is give you a downward spiral. So just relax, enjoy what you're doing. Maybe think about the basic technique that you need to employ. Maybe there's something a little bit technically that you can change, but just keep practicing. It'll come. There's always the ups and downs with your progress, but in the end, it ends up there.
Yes, interesting one. I guess it's hard in the moment, though, if you feel like you've been practicing hard, to kind of just relax about it. Are there any tips for dealing with that, or is it just like you said, knowing that you've just got to. It's a long-term game, and you just got to keep working.
Yeah, that's the main thing. You've got to understand that there will be these dips, and like every single player goes through those ups and downs. If you don't go through those ups and downs, there's something actually wrong. Zhang Zhique has days when he, feels like he can't play properly. Every single player has it. Just accept it. Some days you'll be up, some days you'll be down. But the most important thing is to just keep training. If you drop off your training because you start to get frustrated, then you're going to have a problem. If you can continue with your training, continue with your focus, eventually it has to get better. It's not even if you didn't want to get better, you will get better because you're putting in the concentrated practice time. So just persevere.
All right. Hopefully that helps you out, Bevan. Let us know in the coming weeks how you're going with that forehand counter hit. All right. Next question is from Filippo. He says, my backhand remains my weakness. I have a robot at home which is always set on my backhand. When I do it at home, everything is fine and I manage to produce some excellent backhand returns. However, in a match situation, I still do not feel at ease. Why is this?
Yeah, so welcome, Filippo. Filippo is one of our first ever PingSkill members, so yeah, good to see you on here. Filippo, there's some real differences between training on a robot and reality in a game situation. So with a robot, we always say it's good if you haven't got another practice partner. It's good to train the strokes and to groove the strokes, and it's almost then easy to get that stroke right. But there are real differences then when you come to play against another person. The first one is that suddenly there's a person at the other end that wants to get the ball back, so that puts you under a little bit more mental pressure. The other thing is that you then become that you're playing in a real life situation where you need to recognize some cues as to where the player is going to put the ball. It's not going to come back to the same spot, or you can't just watch the little exit hole from the robot to see where the ball's going. You need to start to pick up other cues of the player. So doing that and still having a good backhand is then the next step. It's a progression. And if you're playing against a robot and you think, beauty, I've got it, and then expect that same translation when you start to play your matches, it won't happen. So it's a matter of then, okay, I've got this against the robot, now I need to progress and think about, okay, I now need to understand how to play this backhand when there's a person standing at the other end of the table, when there's a person at the other end standing there wanting to beat me, and start to progress from there. So yeah, it just takes time, and with you, Filippo, it might just be again what we talked about in the previous question. It might just be a little bit of a slump in your technique, and it'll all come good.
Okay, so the best thing is probably to try and find a practice partner if you can, so you can practice those backhands a bit more. And like you said, with a robot, the ball's coming perfectly, but against a person, they're going to hit it with different spins and different styles and angles. So getting used to that is important. All right, Filippo, let us know about your backhand as well. We'd love to hear if those tips help you out and you manage to get better in a match situation. And yes, thanks again for being one of our first members. Lovely to hear your question. All right, Matty has another question for us, Alois. And Matty says, returning to this wonderful game, I wonder how long you can calm yourself down between each ball. Is there any general rule about it? I've noticed that world-class players dry their sweat every 6 points and between balls dry their hands on the table.
Yeah, Matty. So the basic rule is that play needs to be continuous. So you're really not allowed to take too much time in between points. So you will see at the top level, though, there is a lot of time wasting between points. Players will go up and wipe their hand on the table. I mean, a little bit of it is to wipe the sweat off their hand, but a lot of it is just their mannerisms, and allowing themselves a little bit of time, just a few extra seconds to get organised. In your extended question, Maddie, you also mentioned that you started taking a bit of time and other players started getting a bit frustrated with you. Yeah, I think it's important to just try to keep that game moving as much as possible, and it's something that probably at the top level isn't enforced well enough. And earlier we did talk about, I think it might have been a few weeks ago, Jeff. We talked about having a set time limit like tennis does in between points, and maybe that's the answer at the top level. So that you've only got 10 seconds between points and you need to be ready, so that the umpire then has a clear reference as to what is and isn't allowed.
Yes. So the play has to be continuous, but you're still allowed every 6 points a bit longer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So every 6 points you're allowed to tail down, so you are allowed a little bit more time after every 6 points, and also after each game you're allowed 1 minute of where you're allowed to go and gather your thoughts, talk to your coach, all those sorts of things as well.
Yeah. So again, we did talk about this, but do you still think that it is a bit of a problem that players are wasting too much time in between points?
Yeah, I think in some matches at the top level they do. They get away with a lot of time in between points. So I think that needs to be tightened up, and that's. In some ways it adds to the drama, but in some ways it just extends matches for way too long. So I think it's something that can be looked at, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I haven't really noticed it being a problem. And I guess, when matches get tight and it's really important points, like you said, in some ways it does extend the drama. So I haven't seen it being too much of a problem. But, I guess if people, like in Maddie's case, if they're getting frustrated with him, then maybe that's an indication that it is a little bit too long, and see if you can kind of speed it up a little bit between points. Interesting debate. What about people's pre-point routines, Alois, between points? Does that take too long?
It does take a little bit long sometimes, but it's then important for you to develop a routine that you can do in 3 or 4 seconds. So it doesn't need to be bouncing the ball 25 times and then rubbing your hand on the table and all that sort of stuff. To practice your routine to be that short amount of time. You might bounce the ball on the table once, get into position, serve. That's what you need to practice.
Great. Okay, so you can see, Maddie, it's a little bit of a grey area, but hopefully this discussion has helped you out. Good luck in your matches, and let us know how you get on. Okay, Dakota has a question, Alice. Dakota says, I recently made the next step, which was improving my loops and drives and my service return, which now allows me to challenge for the better players at my club with rankings closer to 2,000. What are your final steps that got you to that level?
Yeah, we don't have the same rating system, so a little bit difficult to talk about that exact moment. But I think, making the step for me up to the higher level, the top national level, it was a lot about my service and service return, and it was then just a lot about training more. At that stage, getting more hours on the table, getting more quality hours on the table was the real thing that helped me. I was lucky enough to have one of the best players that we've ever had in Australia here to train with at that time, Tommy Danielson, and that really helped me to take another step up as well. So that, along with starting to think a little bit about service and service return. The other big thing that for me was a real stepping stone was using my sports psychology to be able to calm myself down in important situations. So I had ability with technique for a while, but I'd reached a bit of a plateau, and then I found that understanding my emotional level started to help me to calm myself down and play the bigger points better as well. Yeah,
it's a big topic, isn't it? Interesting how you need to improve. I guess it's it's always about making less or becoming more consistent while you're still becoming more powerful, I guess. Not making any easy mistakes. So yeah, like service and return, like you said, is vitally important. But even like if someone's attacking you, being able to block a few more balls back on the table can make a big difference, making them have to play a couple of extra shots. Working on your own attack. And then, yeah, like you said, the whole emotional level, Alois, and being able to play well in big points. What a big topic.
It is, yeah, that's right. And the sports psych stuff, or just having your emotional control, or just starting to understand where you are, is really important as you start to get up to that next level. Zhangzi Kerr is so good at winning big events because he can play those big points well. He's not that much better than anyone else, but he can, close out those matches. So that's a real difference.
Indeed. So I'll put a note in the show notes to our sports psychology, our sports psychology section, so people can have a look at that.
Yeah.
Important topic. All right. Well, Brock's just jumped on a little bit late, and he's asked what he's missed. Well, you're going to have to go back and watch the show, I guess, Brock. But it's been a good show. We've answered lots of interesting questions today. So thanks everyone for your questions. Everybody, make sure you check out PingSkills.com. Lots of good resources there. You can sign up for our free newsletter where we send out table tennis tips. And thank you, Alois, for answering all the questions today.
All right, thanks, Jeff. It's been a good one, and look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow morning. And if you can get online and ask some questions, that'll be even better.
Indeed. All right. Go Melbourne Stars, and see you all tomorrow.